Well, they've powered through the East. Some really strong regular season teams: Boston, Toronto, Carolina, all excellent records. So obviously we got our hands full. We know that Bobrovsky's found his rhythm in there. And other than that, we'll dive into it a little more in the next few days. Find even further tendencies that hopefully we can exploit or take away depending on the situation, and looking forward to it. They've earned their way, we've earned our way, so like I said, looking forward to getting going. We'll use these 3 days or 2 days, whatever it is here, and rest up, and then, like I said, focus on a new opponent.
30,000 feet, I mean, you saw it a lot when you're in the same division with them. They changed your team a ton, right? With Maurice, with Chuck, right? To become more of a playoff team, right? Play better defensively, more battle tested or battle ready, I guess.
One of the big differences style is rush versus ozone and forecheck. How to create offense. We've always said there's transition game, there's the forecheck ozone play, and there's power play, right? So I think power play doesn't usually change your approach, but the ozone versus transition does. And the biggest thing I've noticed is the rush game used to kill you there. If you could shut that down, you'd probably be able to outwill them, get into the front of the net, different areas like that. And Tampa did that to them. And what they've done differently, I think, this year is they've tried to create offense from below the goal line, from getting pucks deep, as opposed to always off the rush. Now, whether that's accurate or not, that's just what I've seen. And they've obviously done a really good job with it. The numbers back that up. If you look at the analytics, how they're scoring, it definitely backs that up. So that's what I've seen the difference from my time in the East and from this year.
The big news for you just came off what you call the slot battle series, right?
There's similarities. I think the coaches are, listen, I know they've come up together, they're friends, you know what I mean? I think they have some agreement on how they want to play. It doesn't mean everything's exactly the same. I mean, they're both excellent coaches and they're their own guys that play, but there are similarities. So for us to transition right into that could be a benefit. On the other hand, it's another one where we got to dig in and be hard, and you do that every second night, it does take its toll. So are we going to be willing to battle through that? That'll be the question for us, and same for them. Are they going to be willing to battle through and get there? And that'll be answered shortly.
Bruce, Dan Kingerski, Vegas Hockey Now. I'm curious, I mean, this is your second bite at the Stanley Cup final. Did you learn anything in that first time, or did you glean anything that you're going to translate to this opportunity?
Well, I hope I learned something. I'd be pretty much an idiot if I didn't. Which, actually, to get away from your question for a second on that thought is, I wanted to actually apologize to Arizona. I made a comment after Game 5 the other day, and it wasn't intended to be that way, and I brought them into this, and I should have never have. I reached out to Bill Armstrong, so I wanted to and John Ferguson, apologize for that. It was disrespectful. It was a dumb thing to say about puck management to bring in another team, and again, they play hard, had played us hard every night, so I wanted to put that out there. And getting back on track now, yes, you learn how to manage your time. You learn the ups and downs, the demands of the final. Everybody's there, and it's outside influences as well as the hockey people as well. And I think those are the things you have to manage when you get to the final. And I think we do should use our advantage that we may have with Martinez and Pietrangelo, Barbashev, Stevenson, Kessel, quick guys that have been there and know what it's about. So we have to make sure we tap into that. As for the on-ice game back then, you know, that whole ride is that's why we play. So you're learning to enjoy the moment, yet off days you're allowed to think of the big picture, what's at stake, but then get dialed into the details. And I think that's what I learned, is use those days appropriately to mentally refresh and you know, obviously getting your rest. No one really practices much this time of the year unless you're in between a series like now, but once it's going, so you have to use those off days to get the guys' attention in the right place. And I think that's one of the things I definitely learned. We went 7 games, didn't go our way. So I learned that the last one, getting 16 wins isn't easy. 15 is not good enough. So that'll be a bit of the message as well.
Are they the best team at getting to the front of the net that you've played in this playoffs?
Well, I can better answer that obviously once we start playing them, but it's funny, Winnipeg was a long time ago, right? So you start thinking back, I suspect they probably will be. That's why they've advanced. That'd be my guess, and that's how we're going to game plan it, that they will be the toughest to box out and get under sticks. As I said, because they've changed their game, they've really bought into it and they've had success. When you have success at something, you're really going to go to it. So again, as the series goes on, I'll be able to answer that better. But Edmonton was more of a rush with McDavid. How can you not be? He backs everyone off, power play. But they still got to the net when they were effective. And Dallas was too here in games. All the games. That was their game plan. They're good at it. We were able to manage it better early and late, and then we'll see with Florida.
Ben Goetz, Las Vegas Street Journal. Bruce, you mentioned the experience with the past Cup winners you have. You obviously have 6 guys that went to the Stanley Cup final here in 2018. Where do you think that comes into play? Because they're a group that hasn't had many guys reach this.
Well, you hope it works to our advantage. You can't help but hear things from the other side. They'll hear things from us, and they're enjoying their moment. We're seeing it on TV and different things, and good for them. They should. It's tough to get there, and if you have a little downtime, you use that as you see fit. And every team will do it differently, and they've got 2 teams in that market that are going to the final, so that there's a bit of that energy in their market. I've been there in Boston where the Celtics and the Bruins were both there at the same time, and it's an enjoyable moment, and if you can manage your work versus your, like I said, enjoying the moment, then that's a challenge. That'll be a challenge for us too. Here, our fans in Vegas are going to, they're going to be behind us. There's going to be stuff going on, and at the end of the day, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. It's to me, it's if you show up for work and you've prepared yourself to play, to have success, then usually you do. And I think this team has put the work in since September in training camp. We changed some things, and it's showing now in the playoffs. And it showed the other night in Dallas. It was our best game of the playoffs, and it's a good time to have it. And so the work we've put in came through, and that's what I expect to happen in the finals for us. For them, then I can't really speak to how it's going to go for them.
I'm sorry, I'm sure you talked about Jack a ton, but I want to ask 2 questions. One, because I'm not here every day, I just want to make sure my read on him is accurate. So obviously he's healthy. He had the end of last year to kind of get used to everything here, so full season, so he's comfortable. But he's also in a situation where obviously he's your leading scorer, but he doesn't have to be the guy every night, right? Like he's got a lot around him, which takes some pressure off. Is all that accurate? Anything you would add?
100% accurate. If you look at Game 6, I don't think Jack, Stoney, and Stevie, were they on the score sheet? Right? And we win the game 6-0. Now, did they play well? Absolutely. Jack can drive the game in a lot of different ways. He wins a key draw in the D zone on the 4th goal, right? That's the backbreaker when Marchessault scores, but he wins a D zone draw against some Rupi Hintz, I think it was, so who's very good. So there's little things he does well every night. He was attacking the net, driving their D back. So Jack doesn't have to score for us to win, no. I mean, you look at our regular season point totals, individual scoring, we don't have, there's different guys out of the lineup. We found ways to win. So we need him to play well and help us win. There's just different ways we account for that other than on the score sheet.